Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Our show today is A Woman's Prerogative in partnership with E360 TV. A very, very warm welcome to our loyal viewers, whether you're on the live or the replay, and our viewers at E360 TV. A warm hello to our friends on all our other social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and X. Today's topic is going to be an interesting one. I'm looking forward to the exploration of this topic. Our topic is redefining success, authenticity, freedom, and empowerment in today's world. I'm Caroline Heward, and I'm known as the Harley Street Stress Expert. I'm also your host for tonight's show, and I'm also the resident therapist for USA Global TV and Radio. I don't do this show alone. I actually have a few panelists with me, and we have a special guest tonight. I'm joined here tonight by the Reverend LYDIA FOUGERES, and also we have a special guest, Ellen Damasco. So let's bring them out and let's get started. Hello, ladies. Hello. A very warm welcome to our special guest, Ellen Damasco. And Damaso. Yeah. My apologies. Thank you. And a warm welcome to our panelist, Reverend LYDIA FOUGERES. So what I'd like you to do, ladies, is give a brief introduction, no more than 2 minutes, about who you are, what you do, and how you help people. Let's start with Reverend LYDIA.
Well, I am a reverend in metaphysics. I am retired registered nurse, retired holistic nurse. I am an author of the books 111 Reflection for Thy Earth Odyssey that are sold on Amazon. I also help people from around the world with listening. I listen to them a lot, and I actually help with chakras. I balance chakras. So that is pretty much the resume of what I do. So my work is to help, just like Caroline. I help. That is what I do.
Thank you, Reverend LYDIA. And Ellen, tell our viewers a little bit about you, who you are, what you do, what value you bring, and please tell our viewers what's special about what you provide as a service.
Okay, so I am Ellen. I am a fashion empowerment coach, and we basically have different programs to help trauma survivors reclaim their narratives through style. So we have different events coming up and shopping experiences, just a little bit different than stylists, in that we're here to empower. So we're trauma informed and really speaking to the person to be able to have their dress, whatever outfit they have. It's not just an outfit, it's, styling their story and armor for their challenges. I actually use a lot of AI for this, and my background is in engineering, electrical engineering. And so I pivoted from that and had a lot of a lot of EOC violations, Catholic guilt, a lot of things that kind of, have paved the path for where I am today. I'm also a yoga teacher, and I love yoga, and I mean, it's been great. And so I'm hoping to incorporate that with some health and wellness programs. I'm in Austin, and so it's a great place for that, and I love the community. And it's just what I have is just different because I understand trauma just because of I've been through it, but also the fact that like I'm trauma informed, and it's not just trauma in personal relationships, but in the workplace. And like, how do we identify those, de-escalate them, and address them without like re-traumatizing someone?
Thank you, Ellen. How exciting and how wonderful. It sounds like we're a group here of holistic people looking after people. That sounds wonderful. Well, before we go into the topic, for me, I'm known as Caroline Heward and known as the Harley Street Stress Expert. I help people bust their stress. How do I do that? I work with root cause therapy and chakra psychology, and how the mind and body connects and what happens to the person physically, emotionally, mentally, behaviorally when there's an imbalance. And the imbalance is the symptom. So it might be neck pain, back pain, it might be hair loss, it might be an emotion where there's sadness, loneliness, heartache, or it might be mental stress such as anxiety, depression. So however it shows up for you, some people say, I'm not stressed, and yet they don't sleep very well, or they're having nightmares, or they're suffering with physical ache and pain, and that's how the stress is showing up. I've been working with root cause therapy and chakra psychology for over 2 decades, and I spent 17 years in Harley Street as a licensed practitioner. I was living in London, and now I'm living in the north of the country in the UK, and here it's pretty cold. So thank you very much, ladies. And without further ado, let's move into the topic. Redefining success, authenticity, freedom, and empowerment in today's world. And what I want to do is I want to take each of those words in terms of looking at what each of those words means to us and how it shows up in our lives. So I'm going to take the first word, authenticity, because it's redefining success, looking at authenticity. And I did a little bit of a Google search for definitions, and it came up with this. Authenticity is the quality of being genuine or real. And I thought that was pretty accurate. That's my understanding of what authenticity is. And it also further gave the word authenticity is a state of something being authentic or legitimate or true. And I felt that that was a very accurate description in terms of what my views are about authenticity. So what are your thoughts, Reverend Lydia, about authenticity? How do you define authenticity, and how does it show up in your life?
Well, authenticity is exactly the way I understand it the way it is defined, because my entire life, whatever happened, I always was authentic. They like me or they do not. I stay authentic to myself. I do not change for people. I am what I am. I am always polite, that is for sure, but I am what I am. So the thing is that I will not change to please a group. And if I am not in agreement with a group, I will agree to disagree, but I will stay authentic to myself. That is the way I am. I do not actually go out of my way to please people. It is very important for me to stay the person that I was, that I am always the same, I am genuine. So they like me or they do not, and that is the way it is. And that is the way it is. I am like that.
I love the fact that you're describing it that way, because I'm also not a people pleaser. I'm also somebody that from the perspective of looking authentic and being true, you know, showing up as I am a professional person, showing up every time in my authentic self, in living and being in my authenticity. And people pleasing, something that you commented about there in terms of not needing or feeling that you need to please someone else to show up and be yourself. I feel that that's a key driver, because many people do change their behavior. They do change what they say because they don't want to offend people. So people pleasing is definitely something that I totally agree with you on. And the authenticity of being who you are rather than who you're trying to be, showing up for someone else, what you think that somebody else wants. I truly believe, and I'm very much with you on that, that it is about being what's right for you, even if it offends someone. And that's the key, because it might not agree with everyone. And if it's offensive to anyone, then I feel that that's being true to myself, being my total authentic self. And it may offend some people, and at the same time, it's the only way that I can be. Ellen, what are your thoughts on what's just been shared, and what's your view about authenticity? What feels right for you in terms of the word authenticity? How does it show up in your life?
There's a few things. So authenticity, one of the things that I think about is basically going on what y'all said is like, what is my inner soul want, right? Like I grew up people pleasing. I was a valedictorian, I was senior class president, I was the star student, you know, I was setting the example, but inside I had, you know, was falling apart due to some childhood trauma. And so there's that part of it. And now I'm like, well, who am I? And I think inside of each and every one of us, there's an infinite well of knowing and self-awareness that we just need to tap into. And when we're busy people pleasing, like y'all are talking about, we don't have that ability to look within and spend that energy within. And I think that's another important thing is the energy that we spend, right? So we only get a finite amount of energy. We're not infinite. We're not gods. We're human beings with time and effort and all these different resources that are limited. So we have to maximize them and use them. And so I think living authentically is being true in real time, like whatever age you are. Anybody can be authentic at any age. And another thing that comes to mind is, so what I do also is help trauma survivors reclaim their narratives through style. So one of the things is really having them understand that it's not an outfit, it's not the clothes, it's not fashion, but it's about who are you as a whole person, and who do you want to be seen as, and who do you want to dress as, and like how does that fit into your overall goals and what you want to do with your life. So, and I'm going on that one other thing is so being authentic for me for a long time, the past 15 years, I was diagnosed with bipolar, and I for a long time said I am bipolar. And through trauma-informed training, I realized that I have bipolar disorder. That is my diagnosis. And I am not that. I am more than that. And so it's helped me to be open with others and be like, yeah, this is the struggle that I have. When you see me having trouble sleeping, I mean, my friends in Austin see it now. You know, I've only known them for, a little over a year, and I'm new here. And so I'm letting that out to be able to have them support me in the role that I have in taking care of myself. And I've learned to know what my needs are and to nurture that. And so I feel very authentic to myself, because I'm finally like, you know what? The world isn't ready. I mean, the world isn't near where it should be about mental health, but it's time to have real conversations. Like, I'll tell my story to whoever. And I think it's really important that everybody acknowledges their mental health issues and, makes it a point to do whatever it takes to resolve those and work through those and go through healing.
Thank you, Ellen. And I really applaud you for your authenticity in your sharing. It's a beautiful way to share. You have just shown us your authenticity. And I feel very heartened by what you have shared. And it's made me feel that it's important to share why I moved into therapy work rather than, where I was prior to doing therapy work. I was in corporate. I was in marketing and PR and very successful. My dad passed away in 2000 and I ended up in a depression. I feel now, in doing a show not very long ago about midlife crisis, I actually feel I had a midlife existential crisis. That when my dad died and I was 36, and it was like I wasn't expecting him to die, but it was diagnosed as depression, and I just felt like I couldn't feel anything. I was lost. And then when I became aware, I started looking for answers, and those answers led me in that path of that questioning led me into exploring chakra work, energy healing, NLP, stress management. I did it all because I was looking for answers. So what you just shared in terms of who am I, what am I doing here, what's my purpose? It wasn't for me marketing. I felt that I was here for something much more. And 24 years later, I'm here. It's become the resident therapist in the last 3 years. So that's really, truly being in a space of authenticity, that it was from an existential challenge that moved me into doing this work. And I really, really appreciate your sharing of your own trauma in terms of identifying and demonstrating authenticity. Thank you. Reverend Lydia, do you have any comments to make about what's being shared on what we've shared on authenticity?
Well, I do think that everyone faced a mental problem in their life. Actually, I do not believe that anyone is fully sane, as they call it. I do not believe I worked in psychiatry. I had mental issues also. And I do not believe anyone that says they never had mental issues in their life. Because to me, when they say that, they're in denial. That is the way I see it. Either they had no diagnostic or either they're in denial because there is no one that ever was happy go lucky all their life. They just do not understand what they were going through or will not admit what they were going through. So that is, and there also is this kind of, there is this kind of labeling that when there's a mental problem, it should be hidden. Well, no, it should not be hidden because we should be talking openly about mental issues because it's like having diabetes. It's like having anything because it's in the brain. So everything has to do with the brain. So I do not understand why people are so secretive about mental issues. Because if people were honest, there would be less suicides. That is the way I see it. That is my opinion.
Thank you, Reverend Lydia. I do believe that we've lost connection with our wonderful guest. Maybe she might be coming back soon. So I'm sure that if she finds connection again, that she will be back with us. So thank you very much, Reverend Lydia. That for me is so authentic again, that authentic share of the fact that we all have challenges. We all have things that we go through. And that can be a lifelong change in terms of how we show up in life. Oh, she's back. Hi. That's great. Thank you, Ellen. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to go on to the next aspect of our topic, and that's freedom. And when I was thinking about freedom, today in the UK, it is Remembrance Day. And it's Remembrance Day for our young soldiers who fought in World War II for our freedom. And this is very topical because it's 11, the 11th day of the 11th month. And at the 11th hour, there was a 2-minute silence in the UK. And it kind of makes me feel a little bit emotional because these were young boys, young men. They hadn't seen any life, and many of our young boys lost their lives fighting for our freedom. And so when I think about freedom, especially today, and I'm going to timestamp this because it's 11/11, timestamping this on the 11th day of the 11th month, this is a UK big day for freedom. And the other person that comes to mind in terms of freedom is Nelson Mandela. And he fought for freedom, for our rights to be free. And he fought for civil rights, but he didn't fight. He went about it in a very different way. It was non-violence. And I've studied a lot about what Nelson Mandela did in terms of creating freedom for the African people. And he said that when he was incarcerated for the many years, he shared that they can incarcerate my body, they can prevent me from eating when I want to eat, seeing who I want to see, but they can never take away my mind. And that really makes me feel quite emotional because he was incarcerated, and I'm not quite sure how long, for many, many years. And yet he came out still the humble man that he was when he went in. He was a non-violent man, and he fought for freedom of the Black people because he felt that there should be equal rights. So freedom of mind, I find that fascinating, freedom of mind. I know, Ellen, that you will have some very interesting things to share on freedom. Please do share your thoughts about what I've shared and also your own views about freedom.
So there's a couple elements of freedom. I mean, there's freedom, and to be who you are, like in the U.S. I mean, everybody's like, oh, okay, land of the humble of the brave. But also, freedom is being able to know you have choices, right? And so being with the background in trauma, it was like, this is the only way, this is the way it's supposed to be. This is, it was drilled in that, I wasn't worthy, I wasn't allowed choices. And so I made a decision 2 years ago to say, hey, I deserve to have the good things like everyone else's. I had problems with my jobs, taking care of family and going on leave and things like that. And I didn't think I deserved those. And a lot of that was the trauma that was built into my experience. And I took that choice to say, freedom is when we have choices. It's when there's not just one thing that is the way and that someone's saying, right? That would be like a cult. Like, this is the way things will go and you're just going to follow along. But freedom allows creativity, and it's creativity to embrace who you are, to discover who you are, because we're always discovering. I mean, I'm 45 years old, and I'm still discovering things about myself that I didn't know when I was younger, and it's a whole process. So freedom is very important. It's one of my top values, and it was one of the things I taught my son when he was younger. When he said bye to him to go to school, I wouldn't say be good. I say make good choices, because when we make good choices and we make good decisions, lead to decisions, and then we take actions, and it's a whole pathway that we can have when we have the freedom to choose the thing that is what we want and need and see for ourselves in our lives. And nobody can make that decision for you. I mean, people will try to, but ultimately we have to resonate with our truth and our inner knowing.
Thank you, Ellen. Very, very just authentic. Your shares are incredibly authentic. And this feels like the success to freedom, that the authenticness of what you've just shared. Thank you. Reverend Lydia, do you have any thoughts or comments to make about what Ellen has shared? And also, I have another question for you. Do you feel that certain freedoms that you are supposed to enjoy are restricted in some way?
Yes. Yes. The thing is that I in my life was in an abusive relationship, and I was restricted, very restricted. I got out of the abusive relationship. It took me a long time. I was very ill at that time. And when I was out of the relationship, the weirdest thing that happened is that I was on the red light, and I realized that I could go wherever I wanted. I can do whatever I wanted to do. I was free at last. But most of all, do you know of what I was free? I was free of hate. I had no hate. I had no grudge. I was totally free. So what I did is I went into a meditation house. I could go anywhere. I could go to Costa Rica if I wanted. But the thing is that I went to meditate and thank the universe for being free again. So that is the way freedom was for me. So people can see freedom in a lot of ways, because we can lose our freedom in different ways. We can be in a huge palace and not be free. But we can be in a cell and be free, as long as our mind is free. I was in that relationship, but my mind never gave in. So that is the way I kept my freedom.
Thank you, Reverend Lydia. Thank you for your transparency, and thank you also for your incredible authenticity in your sharing. I wasn't expecting that to come out, and at the same time, I really do appreciate your authenticity in sharing what must have been a very difficult time. And congratulations for being able to come out of that coercive and restricted relationship. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. This feels like a very cohesive team here of ladies that it's like sort of there is a symbiotic relationship of what we're sharing, and the care and the genuineness of what's being shared here tonight. I applaud both of you for your integrity and your authenticity in what you're sharing. Thank you. I'd like to move on now to empowerment. And I did look up in sort of online on the dictionary, and empowerment, it means people having power and control over their own lives. And people get the support that they need that is right for them. And also, which I found really powerful as empowerment goes, people are equal citizens. I found that was an exceptional definition, that people are equal citizens, especially after I've mentioned Nelson Mandela. The things that he fought for was because he didn't feel that people were equal as citizens in his country, in the US. And also respected and confident in their communities. And you can't empower someone else or make someone empowered. You make you empowered. If you ask someone to empower you, it's like you give it away. It's about you becoming personally empowered. And even though we're all in our own ways therapists of one description or another, and taking care of others, we can only guide and facilitate. We can't make the person be fully empowered, but we can show them, we can lead the way, lead the light, so that they know where to go. But the empowerment, I feel, is an internal experience. What are your thoughts, Reverend Lydia?
Well, empowerment. Well, we will go to racism, actually. It's very important. We are talking about Nelson Mandela was about power, racism, the entire thing. I was born and raised in a town where I did not even know racism existed. I found out racism existed. I was 21 years old. I came from a town where everyone was on the same level. There was one family that came from Haiti, and we were 4,000 people, and he was our mayor, my second neighbor. There were people from all over the world speaking all kinds of languages, all kinds of religions. Everyone respected everyone. So it was a shock for me when I left my town to actually live in larger cities because I did not even know that racism existed. So when you find out about such thing, the only thing that you can do to stay empowered is not to be like them. So you decide for yourself, am I going to become like them? Or am I going to be empowered and stay as authentic and as powerful as I am in not believing that anyone is different from me? Because everyone is the same. We all have souls. Everyone is the same. It's just colors, sizes, and, genes. So that is the only thing. So I did not believe in losing power for whatever reason, because I was not raised that way. And I was firmly raised to believe that money had nothing to do with power. I was raised to think that everyone had a say. When I was working as an assistant head nurse, if the janitor had something to say, he had something to say. If it was a doctor, he had the same say. So it was not different. Everyone was on the same level, no matter how educated or not they were. So that's being empowered. So you leave everyone their power. You give it to them. You keep it and you give it to them. They're entitled to it.
Thank you, Reverend Lydia. Whoa, that was a lot to pack in. And we're actually towards the end of our show. Can you believe it? We've almost come to the end of our show. So please, Ellen, share in about 2 minutes what your views are on empowerment, what your thoughts are about what Reverend Lydia shared, and your thoughts on empowerment from your own personal experience and your work.
So just to summarize, this. Empowerment is being able to have the tools and resources that you need to get you to your goal, to elevate to whatever it is that you want to move towards, right? And not be stagnant. And then I just wanted to share the story of my retreat facilitator and I. So I had to change the retreat and push it back. And then he comes back and says, oh, it's unorganized, so I'm not going to be in the retreat anymore. And so I left him a message, and I had never done this in corporate America. And I let him know how my experience as a brown person, as an Asian person, individual shaped things. And I pointed out his privilege, and I pointed out our culture that's very different from American culture. As a Filipino, I had to undo, arriving on time late and not having boundaries, all these things that kind of make our culture kind of like less productive in the sense, but it challenged him, and he was open because he's not Asian, or he's not a minority. And so it challenged him to think about what it really meant and to hear the story, and that he hadn't even asked, well, why did you cancel? It was just like this criteria, like patriarchal criteria. Okay, this. It doesn't look like it's supposed to, but what is it supposed to look like? Empowering is letting people create that and being the co-creator of their life.
Thank you, Ellen. I couldn't have summarized that up better. Thank you so much for your authenticity and really being transparent. It's so appreciated on this panel and for our viewers. I'm sure that people will get such a lot from it. So we are pretty much at the end of our show. So before we go, please do share how people can reach you. So we'll start with Reverend Lydia. How can people reach you? How can they contact you if they need your help?
Okay, they can reach me at lydiafougere.com. They can also reach me at the phone number 51514-582-6882. I repeat, 1-514-582-6882. I am in Canada. On my Facebook page, also my private page, and also my author's page. You can also anytime write to me on Instagram on the Divine Mother /. So it will be nice to talk to anyone and hear anyone. So thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Lydia. And over to our special guest of the evening, Ellen Damaso. Please do tell our viewers how they can contact you and what the best way to contact you is.
The best way is Instagram. That's where most of our content is. So that's Inner Bling Styling. It's INNER Bling and then Styling. That's the email address. And then, that's the Instagram, and also innerblingstyling@gmail.com is another way to reach us. And we also are on WhatsApp this is my Pensacola number. I grew up in Florida, so I still have a Florida number for business, and that is on WhatsApp. It's 850-583-0769, and again, that's 850-583-0769. I would love to hear from people and get their thoughts and have discussions, and what made sense to you and what didn't work with works.
Thank you, Ellen. What an amazing show it's been. Thank you, ladies. And for me, you can reach me on nomorestress at live.co.uk, or call me if you're international +44. If you're local, 07523 120 189. I'm based in the UK. And you can follow me on Facebook and LinkedIn. I post all the videos and all the shows live on my Facebook and LinkedIn platforms. You can also reach out to me if you are suffering with any type of stress. I look forward to helping you bust your stress. Thank you very much to our panelist, Reverend Lydia Fougeres, and our special guest, Ellen Damaso. It's been an enlightening show. I almost feel like we ran out of time. There's so much more that we could have covered. And now it's over to our sponsors. But before we go over to our sponsors, please do join us again next week. We're here on Mondays, every Monday. It's 2 p.m. Eastern Time and 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. And I look forward to seeing you at the same time next week. A very big thank you if you've been watching on the live, and also if you're watching on the replay. And I look forward to seeing you next week. A big thank you to our panelists and our special guests tonight. Bye-bye for now.
This program is brought to you in part by the British School of Excellence and founder, Mr. Philip Sykes, building confidence, changing lives. Do you share our view that etiquette is a set of modern life skills that are essential for personal and professional success? Join us as an etiquette coach and change people's lives through the power of etiquette and manners.
The last few days have been really amazing. I had a trainer course from the British School of Etiquette.
And I must say it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made and one of the best investments I've made in my own training and development.
Now, words alone will not describe the transformation and the positive path that I have traveled with the British School of Etiquette.
I find really I learned a lot from the lessons this time I came.
The last few days with the British School of Etiquette have been fantastic.
And what I've learned now is really beyond my expectations.
This is the most rewarding experience and the best investment I have made this year.
It was just great. I learned so much, and when I go back to Belgium, I will incorporate a lot of it into my day-to-day life and business.
It's been absolutely wonderful for the whole week that we were here.
I feel transformed, and I feel like blowing a trumpet and tell people, come and do this school. This class is the best. This is the best school ever.
You should take it. It will change your life immediately.
I am now able to teach other people how to bring the best of them.
Thank you.
Thank you, PREEZ.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you to our clients for their testimonials on the Train the Trainer program. Our exponential and global growth is so significant that we've evolved from the British School of Etiquette to the British School of Excellence, where we're investors in people. Let us invest in you and your career. Contact us to become an etiquette coach. Go to thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. Start your